Hello everyone, and welcome to our video on Pythagorean theorem. We're going to focus today on right triangles and on finding the hypotenuse, which we labeled the last few days as our C value. So let's review the parts of a right triangle. This is a right triangle because it has this box, which is a right angle, and we know that that means that this is 90 degrees. It's a 90-degree angle. The part that is across from our 90-degree angle is going to be our C value. So that's our hypotenuse. It's the longest side of the triangle. That's our hypotenuse. And the other two pieces we called the legs. And so that's going to be leg A and leg B. So C is our hypotenuse. Leg A and leg B are both there. And then we're going to call our hypotenuse the longest one, which is C. So that is our hypotenuse. So we've spent a few days practicing that, and now we're going to actually start using it in the Pythagorean theorem to find missing side lengths of a right triangle. So here's what the Pythagorean theorem says. It says that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And here's what that means, that a leg squared plus the other leg squared is going to be equal to the hypotenuse squared. That squared just means that it's raised to the second power. So you're going to be able to do that in your calculator. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, here's our hypotenuse. Here are my legs. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Okay? And it's going to allow for us to solve for missing pieces. So it said, find the missing side of the triangle and round your answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. So let's zoom into this first one. First, I know it's a right triangle because it contains a right angle. And my hypotenuse is the x value. It's this long side. So let's label it with A and B and C. So we're going to plug this into the Pythagorean theorem, which says that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So let's plug in those pieces. That is going to be how we labeled it. It doesn't matter if this one is A or B or if this one is A or B. You just need one of each. And so when I plug that in, that's going to be 4 squared plus 3 squared is equal to x squared. And then you're going to pick up your calculator and you're going to type this whole thing into your calculator. 4 squared plus 3 squared. If you're doing it on a cell phone, it's the x squared button. If you're doing it on one of these calculators that looks like this, hold on one second. One of the calculators that looks like this. Let me see if I can pull it. Right here. If you're doing it on a calculator that looks like this, what you're going to do is you're going to close. You'd type in, right here on your calculator, you type in 4. You'd click this button, it's the x squared button, so 4 squared plus 3, and then you click this button again, squared. Okay, and you're going to click enter, 4 squared plus 3 squared. So that is going to give me a number in your calculator that's going to give me 25. So 25 is equal to x squared. And now we want to take the square root of 25. The opposite of squaring something is taking the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and that's just going to give me x, which is what I want to find. I want to find the length of the hypotenuse. So to do that, what you're going to do in your calculator is you're going to type, you're going to click the second button, click second, and then click the x squared button, and you'll see right above it, really small, is this x square root button. So let me do that in yellow. That light blue is that square root button. I'm going to zoom in real quick. This light blue right here is the square root button. So you click second first, and then hit the x squared button, and it's going to pop up and do this. And you'll type in the square root of 25 and click enter, and that is going to give you 5. Okay? We want to see if that makes sense as an answer by putting it in the picture. Is 5 the biggest piece in that triangle like it should be? And it is. The hypotenuse should be the biggest piece. So 5 is more than 3, and 5 is more than 4, so I know that I've found a good answer. All right, let's do that again. The first thing you always do is label your A, your B, and your C. So again, I'm going to label my legs, and then here's my hypotenuse. It lies opposite the right angle. So this is always going to be my longest side. It's going to be the hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Just putting it into this formula every time. So my A was 12, so that's going to be 12 squared. My B was 5, so that's going to be 5 squared. And that's going to be equal to c squared. And I'm just going to type this entire thing into my calculator. 12 squared plus 5 squared is going to give me 169. And so that's what c squared is equal to. How do I get c by itself? Well, right now c is squared, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. The square root of 169 is 13. So c is equal to 13. Okay. If you're doing this in your phone and you need help with that, or if you have your own calculator and you want me to show you how to do it, I will absolutely be happy to do that. So just come across the hall if you need me, and I'll show you how to type that in if you're struggling with it. Okay, so this next one, let's find our hypotenuse first. Here's my right angle. Here's my hypotenuse. So I'm going to label it just like I did before, A and B, and then this is going to be my C. So we're going to do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And we're going to fill that in. This would be 6 squared plus 8 squared equals X squared. You're going to type this into your calculator. You're going to type in 6 squared plus 8 squared. When you do that, 6 squared plus 8 squared is going to give me 100. That's 100. So that's equal to x squared. So what is x going to be? It's going to be equal to the square root of 100. Square root of 100 is 10. So does that make sense as an answer? If x is 10, is that bigger than 6 and bigger than 8? And both of those, both of those are true. Okay, so number 4 is the first one that we have that has a decimal. So I'm going to label these A and B. Doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. But C has to be the hypotenuse. And so I knew that this was the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. It's always, always, always across from the right angle. I'm going to fill that into A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This one's just going to have decimals, but our calculator is going to do all that work for us. So 12.9 squared plus 6.1 squared is going to be equal to x squared. And so we want to type that into our calculator just like that. 12.9 squared plus 6.1 squared is going to be equal to 203.62. You're just going to copy that whole thing down. That's what x squared is equal to. And then we take the square root of both of those sides. So what is the square root of 203.62? It says to round it to the nearest tenth. This just means I'm rounding it. That is about, what does it say to round? I think the nearest tenth, yes. So the nearest tenth is 1 after the decimals. That's about 14.3. What pops up on your calculator is 14.2, 6, 9, 5, ... It keeps going. So this is the tenth. So this 6 tells us to round this 2 up to a 3. So it's about 14.3. Okay. So I have 2 more problems that have decimals in them just to keep giving us practice on these. I label this A, B, and C. Again, I'm still just looking for my hypotenuse. So I'm going to plug that into the Pythagorean theorem, which says that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So that is going to be 6.8 squared plus 4.2 squared equals x squared. And you're just going to type this left-hand side into your calculator. 6.8 squared plus 4.2 squared is equal to 63.88. That is what x squared is equal to. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I'm going to do that in my calculator, square root. And that's about, so what pops up is 7, let me write this down, 7.9924 ... So this is the 10th spot. This 9 is going to tell us to round this up to about 8.0. 8.0. X is about 8.0. This symbol right here just means it's rounded. It says approximately, which means it's about. Okay? Does that make sense as an answer? If x is about 8.0, is that bigger than 4.2? Yes. Is that bigger than 6.8? Yes as well. Okay? Last one. So here's our hypotenuse. Here's my right angle. Hypotenuse lies across from the right angle. So that's as a C value. And here are my A and my B values. So A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 11.1 squared plus 9 squared is equal to x squared. And you're just going to type in 11.1 squared plus 9 squared into your calculator. That gives us 204.21. And that is what x squared is equal to. Of course, I just want x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of 204.21 is going to give me 14.29 dot, 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 dot. So I'm going to round it to, this 9 tells me, since that's more than 5, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you're going to round this number up to 3. So that would be about 14.3. About 14.3. All right, so you're going to practice that on iExcel, and we're going to be practicing the ones that are solving for a hypotenuse specifically. Have a good day.